Hi, you guys. Welcome to True Crime Wine Wednesday. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. I am Sherrilyn and I am so glad you found me. If you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back and being here every single Wednesday with me. You know I love and I appreciate you so, so much. Let's talk about it. We just hit a massive milestone on the channel, and I say we all the time and how much I appreciate you because it really is because of you guys. This can only happen if you support me and help me by giving me shares, talk about me with your friends and family and everybody you meet in the elevator. If it wasn't for you guys tuning in every single week, commenting, helping me build this badass community, I love it so much. Without you guys, it wouldn't be anything. I'm just so excited to see where this goes and what's next. And I just can't believe how lucky I am that I have the greatest support system behind me. I'm so obsessed with you all. I just wish that I could hug each and every one of you in person. I hope there is a day that will be a reality. For now, I just hope you truly know how much I adore you. Speaking of adore, I have a message for today's sponsor. Another massive thank you is in order for our sponsor today, Shudder. If you're like me, you know that there is always time for some spookiness all year round, not just in October. And Shudder is the streaming app for all of us horror buff lovers. The entire library consists of anything and everything spooky. Not only do they have the biggest and scariest library of any other streaming platform out there, they also keep it so fun by updating it with exclusive shows and fun content. One of my faves is the Boulet Brothers. It's like the monstery drag version of RuPaul's Drag Race. Addicted. I also love documentary series. Anything with behind the scenes and how it was made or what the inspiration was, I'm all over. And right now they have new weekly episodes on a series called Behind the Monsters, so you get to learn about all the backstories of really popular horror characters like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Pinhead. It's so cool. Another one I liked was called Advent Calendar, and that's an original to Shudder. It's got the Christmas horror vibes going on. Such a weird combination, but it works. It also had bonus points for me because it was subtitled because the movie is French, so it allowed me to brush up on my roots. The French aspect, not murder. In a nutshell, Shudder is the Netflix of horror, and you get it all for only $5.99 a month. And no matter what device you're working with, whether it's an Android, Apple, Fire Stick, Roku, Shudder's gotcha. I'm telling you, if you are a horror buff like me, you will not be disappointed. They have everything from the classics. Right now, I just saw House of Wax, not only the 2000s version, but also the one in 1953, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that was a remake. Is it just me also that when you say House of Wax, you only think of Paris Hilton? I can't even remember who's in it. And I don't think she was in it very long, right? I got to rewatch it, but I really want to watch the original now that I know that it was remade. So not only do they have all of those old classics for you, but they also have new titles that will quickly become part of your new favorites. Get started streaming the best horror, thriller, and supernatural content today. There are so many hidden gems in Shudder's collection that include must-see titles like Vicious Fun, The Mortuary Collection, and PG Psycho Gorman, plus all the best horror documentaries and the hit TV series Creepshow from executive producer Greg Nicotero of The Walking Dead. And right now, when you click the link in my description, they are kindly offering you 30 days to try it for free. All you have to do is go to shudder.com and use my promo code Sherrilyn. That's SHUDDER.com, and my promo code is Sherrilyn. Thank you again, Shudder, for the year-round thrilling content and for once again supporting the channel. It really does mean so much to me. All right, riddle time. Today's riddle is: a woman shoots her husband, then holds him underwater for 5 minutes. A little while later, they both go out and enjoy a wonderful dinner together. How can this be? I'm so excited to hear your answers. I just love your answers. All right, let's get started. Grab your drinks, grab your snacks, maybe a doobski, maybe just a water. Whatever it is you need to be comfortable for the next 30 to 45 minutes together. Today's case focuses on a huge part of how we meet a lot of people in our lives today, which is online dating. In 2020, in US alone, there was over 44 million users on online dating sites. Allegedly, 22% of the people who meet online get married. I just think of all the online dates that I went to that definitely didn't lead to marriage. On the other side of that, though, sadly, there is also this whole world that is opened up to people who are vulnerable looking for love, and it can have deadly consequences. Each year, internet predators commit more than 16,000 abductions, 100 murders, and thousands of rapes, according to internetpredatorstatistics.com. And today's case is just one of those first date nightmares. This is the story of Sharon Searmans. Sharon is from Ballarat, Australia, which is a population of about 100,000. Very small town feel. Everyone is friends. Ballarat's known for the Victorian gold rush, which happened from 1851 until the late 1860s in the state of Victoria. The discovery of gold on August 18th, 1851 led to transforming Ballarat from a small sheep station to a major settlement. I read an estimated 6,000 miners arrived each week seeking fortune in Ballarat, and it was considered one of the world's richest gold fields during that peak between 1852 and 1853. Ballarat was also home to John and Denise Searmans, who were parents to 3 boys and their youngest child and only girl, Sharon. Hearing Sharon's mom talk about how she found out she had had a girl was so precious. She had a C-section for Sharon, and I'm assuming it was probably very hectic and like an emergency because she was actually put under general anesthesia. So it was when she came to that she was told she had a little girl, and on her way to the nursery, she was like telling everybody in the elevator, like, I'm going to see my baby girl, like I have a baby girl. Just so proud. Growing up, Sharon was also really close with her dad. She's definitely described as a daddy's girl. She wasn't like a little princess though. She had older brothers, so she could definitely hold her own with them. If they were outside getting into trouble, getting dirty, Sharon was like right beside them doing the same. When she was a child, her family learned that she had a little bit of a learning disability. You'd never know if you were talking to her, but just in terms of things like schoolwork, it caused her some struggles and it affected her confidence. To try and help with that, her parents wanted to enroll her in some sort of activity where she could build relationships with other kids. So when she was just a little girl, she joined the Clunes, I'm probably saying it wrong, Clunes football team, and joined the netball club that they had. I read that she wasn't like the most competitive player on the team, but she was like one of the most dedicated. She was like the most passionate about the camaraderie and like having these like buddies. Sadly, when she was only 13, she suffered a really bad knee injury and was never able to play netball again, but she would still go and cheer on her old teammates. I guess her brother played football for Clunes as well, so she would just go every week when he had a game and then just watch like all her friends play and cheer them on. When she was 18, she got a job at a cleaning company called Spotless, and she worked there for about 4 years. When she was about 22, she started dating a coworker. They seemed to have a typical relationship, and not long into it, they had a little boy together named Aaron. Even though they had a pretty good relationship, the shift turning into parents, I guess, kind of made them see they wanted different things in life. So just after Aaron turned 3, they decided it was just best if they parted ways. Aaron primarily lived with Sharon after this, and she wanted to find something that she could do where she would still be able to be at home a lot with Aaron and tend to all of his needs. She was born to be a mother, and it was the primary job that she wanted to put all of her focus in, but she obviously knew she needed to make money to, sustain a household. So she took a course to become a nail technician, and then that would allow her to build a studio in the house. She could be home with Aaron, set her own hours and times, and it also gave her a really good chance to explore her creative side that she really liked. And from what I could tell, she was a really great nail tech. She had loyal clients, and she loved that freedom of still being able to be her number one job, which was the best mother she could for Aaron. She and Aaron lived in a house on Doveton Street, and about a year into it just being the two of them, one of Sharon's friends suggested maybe she check out online dating site just so she could do some things while Aaron was visiting either his grandparents or his father, get her out of the house and just like social again. I guess it wasn't a decision that she took lightly. She really did want that like picture perfect family, but she was not willing to settle for anybody who didn't just put her son on a pedestal like she did. She finally decided to give it a shot, and she joined Plenty of Fish. Sharon seemed to be having a really great time on there. She went on quite a few dates and was getting a along really well with one man that she was seeing for a little bit, but it just turned out that he wasn't ready for the commitment and the family that Sharon was looking for, so they ended things. So she decided to pop back on because she saw that it was working and believed she could find love out there. And on January 11th, 2013, she meets a guy that she really connects with named Jason Godfrey. They exchanged numbers and they kept it to talking on the phone and texting for about a week. She talked quite a bit about him with her family and friends. She'd show that he'd send little flower emojis and stuff. I always tease my husband because he used to do that. Not just to me, but any girl that he was talking to. Playa. And now I just tease him all the time I'm remember when you just used to send rose emojis all the time? Aw, poor big guy. So her family and friends saw that she was really excited about it, so they encouraged her to go and meet him. They wanted her to find love so bad. The only thing that her parents said, though, was do not meet anybody at your house. Meet in public, tell somebody where you're going, who you're going to be with, the huge. Sharon was like, yeah, absolutely, but she wasn't really worried about him. She had a really soft spot for him because I guess he had recently decided to give this whole online dating thing a try after being single for over 7 years because he had lost his wife in a tragic car accident. She told her family that, obviously she really felt for him, but a part of the fact that he waited 7 years really showed his character, and it was something that appealed to her because he waited so long to, move on from his wife. So it just showed that he had that commitment and love in his heart. So after talking for about a week, they arranged to finally meet on January 19th, 2013, and they decide to meet at the Ballarat train station. I guess he lived in an area called Beaufort. I hope I'm getting these. I guess this was about a 30-minute train ride away from where Sharon was. And Sharon's dad said the fact that he was from Beaufort was actually a huge plus in his books. He thought it would be a really good fit for her because he considered him to be a country boy. So she gets to the train station, nerves are just on an all-time high. Everything is going through your head. Are they going to show up? Is it going to be uncomfortable? What are we going to talk about? Are they going to look like their picture? Which Sharon quickly found out he did not. I guess he got off the train and she was like, shit, I've been catfished. He apparently was just a hot mess. His clothes were filthy. His hair was greasy, just a disaster. He was missing teeth, which, that's fine if you are just advertising sold as is with no teeth, but he didn't do that. So seeing this, Sharon was pretty embarrassed, I guess, and she did consider just upping and booking it through the station. But then she thought, okay, maybe this little nugget has let himself go and just needs a little bit of help. He's been single for a really long time, and I can't imagine, what he was going through, by losing his wife. So, who am I to judge? But she still didn't want to be seen in public with him, so she decided to bring him back to her home to have coffee. I guess things are going okay when they get back there. They have their coffee, but there was just something about him that she just knew they were not gonna vibe. This wasn't gonna go anywhere. So she pulled the old text her friend and was like, call me in 30 seconds with an emergency. So the friend calls back after a couple minutes, and she's actually babysitting Aaron. So she says that Aaron's really sick all of a sudden and all he wants is his mom, and she isn't sure if she should actually take him to the hospital. So Sharon's like, oh my God, yeah, this sounds pretty intense. So she, cuts the date short, drives Jason back to the train station, and then, goes to pick up her son, tells her friend about it. They're like, whew, thanks for helping me out there. Her and Aaron also spent a lot of time at her parents' house. Her parents said that they loved to have them over for dinner, not only just to help Sharon with saving money on a lot of groceries, but it just had them, around them a lot. So that evening, she actually went to her parents' house and was like, well, that was eventful. And they all just kind of laughed about it. But Sharon leaves out that she brought him back to her house, and she says that she just did tough it through in, being in public public with him and went for lunch. They were like, well, are you going to see him again? And she was like, respectfully, no. I guess while Jason was talking to Sharon, he was also talking to another woman, and her story just kind of gives a little bit of insight of like maybe where Sharon's head was at and like why she might have felt comfortable enough to invite him back to her home, even though like the appearance wasn't what she was expecting. This woman said that when they met, she found him to be very respectful. She did say that when she first opened up his photo, she thought, there's a little bit of like work that needs to be done, a little rough around the edges, and she wasn't really sure she was willing to entertain it. But then again, like as they get to talking and he's nice, she's like, who am I to judge? The least I can do is respond to his messages and be nice. And as they were talking, she was like, wow, like I really glad I opened up his message and decided to give him a shot because he's a really, really nice guy. She said he wasn't pushy like a lot of the guys that she was meeting on there. He seemed genuine. He had a lot of questions about her. And when he asked her if she wanted to meet at a coffee shop, she was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. Great place too, for like witnesses. She said the coffee date went so well that she also invited him back to her place after coffee for another coffee. She said she saw no red flags. All they did was just chat even more to get to know more about each other. It was a really nice, just casual visit, and that was it. And then he went home. From that, I guess the relationship just continued to build, and eventually they deleted their profiles and started dating exclusively. And she said she just always, felt so terrible that she almost didn't give him a chance because she hadn't been treated so well by a man before. He really put her on a pedestal, treated her child really well. He always wanted to be in her company. He'd like to get like all snuggled up with her and watch a movie at night. She actually said his preference was to watch like any and every chick flick, like he knew them all. Not only that, but he'd also be like the first to cry in a sad scene. And she really felt valued and included. He loved to play cricket, so he would bring her to watch his games, and she liked being around his friends and his teammates. She even felt more connected to him because he actually opened up to her about being in trouble in the past. He told her he had been arrested and done some time in jail for some theft and some marijuana charges. She said she obviously wasn't like too crazy about it, but she believed that everybody deserved a second chance. And she appreciated that he was the one who brought it up to her. He was very open with it. It wasn't something that she found out and then like later he backtracked about. He was just like laid it out on the table. So she respected that. And maybe if Jason Godfrey existed, that would be his story. But the man she was dating was not Jason Godfrey. His name was actually Jason Dinsley. When Jason was only a teen, his life spiraled very quickly when he became heavily addicted to drugs. It caused his life to just consist of turning to crime and committing theft so that he could sustain his habit, and a lot of time was spent in jail. And when I say a lot, I don't mean like 20. He had over 100 convictions. Most of his charges were related to drug or burglary charges. But in 2002, he starts to get violent and then starts racking up a lot of assault charges. And then on July 18th, 2005, it escalates even further when he was 22 years old and forced a 56-year-old woman into a hotel room and raped her. After this attack, he forced her to give him the PIN to her debit card. He then lets her go, went to the bank and withdrew $20 so that he could buy some smokes. Luckily, he was caught quickly. He was convicted of rape, robbery, obtaining financial advantage by deception, aggravated burglary, false imprisonment, and intentionally causing injury, and in these charges he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. In fact, he was only released about a month before meeting these women online after serving 7 years of his sentence. So he was on parole, and the reason why he told Sharon and these other women that he was dating online, that he hadn't dated in 7 years, was not because he was too heartbroken because he had lost his wife. It's because he was in the slammer. So he's gone on, he's living his life with his girlfriend who considers herself very lucky, and Sharon's off and going on other dates with other men and living her life too. 5 months after their date on Friday, April 5th, Sharon's just living a typical day. She went out shopping for a new cute little outfit for her son. After that, they did what they often do, had dinner at her parents' house, and her parents said at about 8 p.m. they left to go home. home. They gave their little wave and a little honk as they drove away like they always do. And the plan for the next day was to hang out with her ex-boyfriend, Aaron's father's mother, who she was still very close with. The next morning, Aaron's grandmother calls Sharon to figure out what time they're going to get together, and she called a few times and Sharon never answered, and I guess this was just completely out of character. Side note, do you ever get nervous if something were to happen to you and then people called and it's not out of character for you to not answer for a day or two because anxiety, I always used to think about that, especially when it was just me and Haley in an apartment, and if she was at her dad's house and no one's really expecting to hear from me for a couple days. I'm really not the best with correspondence. I'm not gonna lie. But because this was so unlike Sharon, Aaron's grandmother was just feeling really uncomfortable. She had a gut feeling that something was wrong. So she asked her boyfriend to come with her to the house just to check and make sure everything was okay. And when she opens the door, she's greeted by Aaron, who just says, "Mommy won't wake up and she won't feed me breakfast." Knowing this doesn't sound right, she just quickly takes Aaron out of the house and asks her boyfriend to go through and just take a peek at what's going on. Right off the hop, as he entered, it wasn't looking good because he did see some blood in the house, and when he got to Sharon's bedroom, he found her dead. When police arrived, they're really puzzled because it didn't look like there was any forced entry to the house, but they did have little Aaron, so he's the first person they want to talk to. In terms of getting leads on this case, I'm sure Sharon was just so proud of her little man for being strong, but in the same sense, it's just heartbreaking because when the police talked to Aaron, they realized he saw and heard things that no little child should have to hear, especially involving their mother. He was able to tell the police that a man broke into the house and he had a bat with him and he thinks he hit Mommy with it. And then he said he saw him steal her phone. As with any investigation, the first thing the investigators want to do is look into who she's been in contact with recently. That's when they find out that she's been pretty active on the online dating scene. So they go through all of the profiles of the men and question them that she had been talking to quite recently. Since it had been 5 months since the date that she went on where she got catfished with Jason, he wasn't even on the radar. He's carrying on with his life. He's in this committed relationship. She even remembers when Sharon died and it was all over the news and her and Jason talked about it. They were oh my God, this is so close to home and how awful. She's this single mother. This poor little boy doesn't have a mother anymore. And she said she distinctly remembered that he was quite concerned. So investigators are trying to work through their list of suspects, but one piece of the investigation that they're hoping is going to lead to who is responsible for this is the cell phone that Aaron said this guy stole. So they put a marker on the phone, which I guess will automatically pin from the location that it's at, the second the phone is turned on. And sure enough, 2 days after the murder, the cell phone pings from a location that's not too far away from Sharon's home. So the police round up the crew and just like you picture it, they go to the house, busts down the door, and they arrest Jason Dinsley. Jason's girlfriend is just losing her mind. She's like, what the shit is going on? I guess one of the officers had the arrest warrant in his hand and he didn't say anything to her. He just pointed to the word murder and he's like, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And then she gets clued in that, these small charges that she thought he had in the past and, grown from was actually over 100 convictions. Not only that, but she felt so awful when she learns that a new cell phone case that she had just recently put on her cell phone belonged to Sharon. Jason's girlfriend said that when they started dating, he had a really old cell phone. One evening, she said that he seemed really bummed out because she and her sister were sitting on the couch playing, I don't know, some game on their cell phone. And he was like, well, I wish I could play a game on my phone too, but I can't afford an iPhone. Days after this, I guess he says he conveniently had a friend who reached out to him that he said was going to sell his iPhone for $50 and could she drive him to go and pick it up. So she says she drives to this house and he said that the friend wasn't home and he just left the cell phone in the back, so he was just going to quickly run to the backyard and like pick it up and, you know, quickly comes back. She kind of like teases him because the phone has this like purple sparkly case on it. And they had a laugh about it, but she was like, actually, it is really super adorable. And she had a red case. So she was like, how about, you know, like you take my red case and I'll take that one. And they swapped. The phone was actually Sharon's, and he had already had the cell phone. This was like staged so that he didn't just like show up in his hands like all of a sudden. He pretended to go and like pick up this phone from his friend's backyard, but he really had it in his pocket. And he got the phone on the night of April 6th. After he was arrested, he told investigators that he woke up from an anxiety attack that he was having around 2 a.m. And he decided that he was just going to go for a walk, try to like clear his mind and just like talk himself out of it. He said he walked for quite a while. It was about like 2.5 kilometers. And as he's walking, he happens to walk by Sharon's house, and for whatever reason, he just got triggered. He started thinking about not only like her rejecting him, but like all of the times in his life that he had been rejected, and he just had this like rage build in him. He said he walked back to his girlfriend's house. When he got there, he grabbed a knife, grabbed his cricket bat, and headed back out the door to Sharon's house. So there is about a time of like 40 minutes that's passed between like walking back, looking for these weapons, and then going back. Like all of this time, he could have calmed down, you know, realize like it's all good. I got me another lady here. It's going well. But he's just going in the opposite direction. Like instead of getting calmer, he's getting angrier and angrier with each step. He said when he arrived at Sharon's, he got in by using his pocket knife to like jimmy rig the window in like one of the back bedrooms. And Sharon must have heard it, because he said when he got in, she was like waiting at the door like, what the hell are you doing? He said instantly he just went snap show and started attacking her with the bat. I guess they start to struggle, and it's like making its way into the hallway where he's trying to drag her into her bedroom. And as they're passing her bedroom, they have to pass little Aaron's, and she realized that Aaron was awake and scared, and she begged him to just let her go to calm him down, and he did, which is so upsetting just like for so many reasons. One being he could have at that point just like fled, like just run. You never even gave her your real last name. And then you just like think of Sharon and realizing that, you know, she probably wasn't going to make it, just doing whatever she could to make sure that he was okay and that he was calm and just like knew everything was going to be all right. When she left Aaron's bedroom, this monster tried to sexually assault her, but when he wasn't able to, you know, it caused him to get really angry. Even more rage started to build in him, and then he killed her. On his way out the door, leaving the house, that's when he noticed Sharon's cell phone and stole it, which is the best decision I guess he could have made in these terrible decisions, because that's exactly what was able to get him caught so quickly. He was sentenced to 32 years in jail, and I mean, like, why he's even given like a sentence that's not like life is beyond me. Sharon's family is so devastated that just given like his history and the amount of convictions that he had, you know, he was just able to pretend to be whoever he wanted to on an online dating site. They said, you know, like had it not been the ability for somebody to like go online and pretend to be whoever they wanted to be, Sharon would have never met him. Like she would have never looked twice at him if they met in public, and this would have never happened, which, you know, sadly, this is not the only case that this has happened in. I was reading some stats that I just wanted to share with you, and it just really puts into perspective like how dangerous online dating can be, and we don't really think about it. I mean, I think we do, like we kind of like joke about it, like, okay, like I told like my best friend I'm with you, so like don't kill me. Okay. But really, like it literally is really scary out there. Here are some stats. 1 out of 10 sex offenders use online dating to meet other people. More than 53% of Americans fabricate parts of all of their dating profile details, according to HuffPost. They go on to say, most of these are lies their dates can spot on the first few seconds of seeing them. In fact, a third of those who surveyed said they falsified their information so much that it prevented them from getting a second date. Again, like you can be whoever. In 2011 alone, the FBI Crime Complaint Center lodged 5,600 complaints of victims of romance scammers. Oh, those guys are the freaking worst. Dr. Phil like exposes a lot of those poor little like people getting scammed out there, and they're just like, here, like take all my money. A lot of them are like widowed and they just like miss that companionship. So of those 56 complaints, the collective loss was about $50 million. Not only that, but they're actually speculating that that number is actually pretty low because a lot of people won't come forward and admit that they were like caught into something like that because they get embarrassed when they find out like that it was a scam. In 2005 alone, 25% of rapists use online dating sites to find their victims. 25%. As I've been going through this case, I've thought a lot about like what can be done to like protect ourselves out there. And it's really discouraging because it's like, what can be done? I was trying to think of a way that, like dating sites could regulate like who's allowed to come on, but then you've got like the whole argument of like people's privacy and rights. Like, I don't know. I guess like if you wanted to be like a really respected online dating site, you could just be like, well, like screw you, we don't care. Like give us your like criminal record check and your SIN. I don't know. Again, like that stuff could be falsified. It seems like it might, like not be possible to do, but if it was something that could be possible, like it could save a lot of lives. If you've got any like, brainstorming ideas out there, like let's have them so we can like try to figure something out together. There's lots of tips out there that we know about, like I said, like that we even joke about to like keep yourself safe, but it's not uncommon to just like briefly let your guard down, especially if you think like, like you're connecting with somebody. Like when I was looking into this case, like it just like made me like have like a pit in my stomach because I thought about times that I put myself in like really dangerous situations and I just never thought about it. I know a lot of you that are watching are in the dating world right now. In fact, like some of you even update us with your, dating stories and kind of like let us know what's going on, which I love and it's so cute. But just please, please, please be safe out there. Do as much digging as you can prior to meeting this person. Like put these freaking Dateline detective skills to the test. You've prepared enough for this task. It's time for you to finally unleash these skills you've learned. You little grasshopper, see you. If, after you're digging, you still feel confident and like it's good to go, always, always, always tell somebody where you're going, who you're going with, try to give them as much information as possible. Don't get picked up. Make sure you drive yourself, meet in a public place, preferably not a bar where somebody can, like feed you more drinks and just like lower those guards. Intuition, maybe start off with something like a game of mini golf or like go to an arcade, maybe make some pottery or go like go-karting. And if your spidey senses are tingling, you just haul ass. You don't need to be polite to anybody. You don't owe anybody an explanation. Like if you don't feel safe and you feel something is not right, you protect yourself and get the F out of there. Always have a backup plan, and in the instance that you don't have one, tell them that you just remembered you didn't take medication that you need for like your cold sore or herpes so that you don't have like a flare up. And this is not meant to insult anybody who does have herpes at all, but it is a known and proven strategy to get people out of dangerous situations. And it lessens the blow of like rejection because it's almost like these people are like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I don't want to call you back. And that's just because a lot of people are just like very uneducated about the herpes virus. They just like look at it as like a death sentence. So like let them think whatever they need to because it will potentially get you out of a really dangerous situation. Again, that is not meant to throw shade at anybody who has the virus. In fact, I actually have learned a lot about the virus from a girl that like showed up on my For You page on TikTok. And I just think she's like just so brave and sweet and lovely and just like putting education out there. If I can find her TikTok again, I will link it in the description, like just in case anybody's out there who wants to be further educated or who has the virus and just like wants to like feel, more confident like you should. Also, don't let anybody tell you that you can't be like over prepared for a situation. I know like a lot of you guys laugh at me because I used to like shower with a knife in my apartment when it was just me and Haley together, but you better believe that bad boy gave me like some added security. I checked to see what I could find and how little Aaron is doing these days. And it seems like, despite this poor little guy and like what he's been through, he's doing really well. He goes and he visits his mother's grave every single week. It's him who asks his grandparents to take him there, and he does fun things there. It's not like a place where they want him to like feel sad. It's like where you go to like celebrate and do fun things. So he'll bring like his toys and stuff and just like play there, and like, oh, it just like rips your heart out because, like I'm sure Sharon's just like right beside him, like, watching him do like what she loved to watch him do, which was just like live life and have fun. Sharon's parents are the ones that are raising little Aaron, and they say he looks so much like her, especially like when she was that age, and it gives them strength to, carry on and do the best that they can and just be positive and raise him exactly like they know Sharon would want them to. At the end of the day, they shouldn't have to be in this situation at all, and somebody who had over 100 convictions should have never been out on parole to be allowed to do something like this to another human. I just realized I had a stain on my sweater this entire time. God, was that hot mustard sauce? I haven't had McDonald's in years, so if it is, that's like not years, but like months. So that's like old. All right, you guys, that is it for me today. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It means the world to me. I love and I appreciate you so much. I just want you guys to know that no matter what the milestone, what the celebration, I will never stop saying how much I appreciate and love you. So I hope you just like feel it always, even when I'm not saying it, like when it's not Wednesday. Like I just hope you wake up on like Saturday morning and you're just like, you know what? Today's going to be a good day because I am loved and I'm appreciated and I'm a wonderful person because Sherrilyn said so. Okay? All right, now I'll give you the answer to the riddle. Now that we've got that settled, here's a little reminder for you. A woman shoots her husband, then holds him underwater for 5 minutes. A little while later, they both go out and enjoy a wonderful dinner together. How can this be? And the answer is she was a photographer who shot his photo and then developed the image. I really liked that one. All right, you guys, I will see you in the next video. I will miss you terribly. Until then, make sure to love each other, love yourself, and I will see you soon. Bye.